while we have been having a lot of fun with the Let's Go Trophy Hunting series and making quite a lot of progress on the lodge the last couple weeks, I didn't want to forget our other main goal in Hunter Classic, and that is to get at least one competition trophy for every species in the game. So I've donned my lucky hat. I feel like it's about the time of year to be wearing that anyway. And we're going to head out here on Val-Des-Bois. There are 3 competitions going on right now. One is simply to take the highest scoring brown bear with the 8x57. We have 2 brown bear barrels filled for that today. Another is the average of your 3 heaviest red deer, so probably going to be using the cable back bow for that. And the final one is to take the highest scoring roe deer from under 30 meters. I was kind of surprised by how low some of the scores were required to place in these comps, so I think we have a real chance, and maybe our lucky hat will just make it that much more likely. And this type of situation right here is why we're going with the cable back bow, primarily for the red deer competition. We've got a couple of different stags coming in, and I don't even think if this guy was the absolute top end of his weight estimate that he'd really be able to contribute to a top 3 placement. You probably need 3 over at least 220, if not 225, so he's only up to 215, and we certainly don't want to shoot him and spook other red deer in the area. Now, having to track him is probably less than ideal, but at least it's not going to spook everything around us. It definitely seems as though there's a lot of stags here, though. The 3rd one already that we've seen, none of them again being all that heavy, but hopefully this time we can make a slightly better shot. I do find that red deer are actually pretty easy to drop with the cable back, so that will probably benefit us. We are about 350 kills from getting to 1,000 and retiring that bow, but that at least is going to be one of our 3 we need to get an entry, and the other one I don't think is going to be too far. It was a single lung hit, so not exactly going to be a massive entry, but both over 200 kilo, right around 205 for each, I think, and at least a decent starting point. That'll be able to kind of get us going, and if we can get one in the area of 230 or 235, then we'll really have to kind of push the other species onto the back burner and focus on red deer, because one really heavy one gives us a decent shot at it. In the meantime, we certainly could do worse than this guy as our first roe deer of the hunt, but if we wanted to count for the competition, this is going to have to go just right. I think I must have called from right over in that area, so we may have lucked out, because this little guy was trying to get here first and mess everything up. But as long as he just kind of walks up there, although it looked like he was going to stop, that wouldn't have been a good spot. He's under 30. That's a kind of small-ish target to hit with the cable back, and he's going to kind of stand behind that other one. So 3rd buck coming in too. Let's make sure we range that, because he's just pushing it there. It's 29, it says. I guess, I mean, we could go with it. Let's actually go with a gun. There's no weapon requirement, so what we'll do is actually stand up and take an extra step or 2 towards him, and we'll just make that shot. Because we fired a gun, might as well try to get this guy too, and there's a reason that I'm actually pretty okay with taking a shot with a gun right now. Typically from here, I actually fast travel to the far side of that island and get to that tent. It just sort of gets around spooking a bunch of red deer and foxes and stuff that may end up in that same area anyway. But as for these two, this guy was 28 meters. Good thing we took that extra step. 163 I don't think would be top 3. It is 6th place, which isn't terrible. And then the other one, I actually don't know if they can be spooked. I want to say it's unspooked, but even still, lower score and too far away. He was 47 meters, a score of 142. Not too bad for a couple of roe deer bucks. And we can just fast travel and kind of get beyond what would have spooked from our gunshots. I don't know what's going on. We've got a pretty good brown bear here, max score estimate, and a weight up to 450, and I just turned around and looked, there's also a kind of decent one coming into the barrel now up to 27 score, but we just passed through there, and there was like a female and a pretty lackluster male, so I suppose there was a red stag down here too I wanted to try to spot. He's not half bad either, but not a high weight, and a wood grouse down there, but what we'll do is just try to get ourselves set up in a position to take that guy with the 8x57. Probably just work our way down to this rock and then essentially lay there until he turns broadside. Because I think eventually, once he kind of calms down because he did spook, he should turn one way or another and give us a shot. Just kind of as predicted, gotta say, he looks pretty decent, and I think that shot will work. always the deal with bear hitboxes in the Hunter Classic. They're like, the lungs are just really crammed into the front half of the body. Basically, the back of the shoulder is the back of the lung, so we should have let him even more, but I still think he's going to go down. If we can get a shot at that wood grouse, we might, but kind of thought he was going to make that a little bit easier. Actually, we might get a chance still. Gonna do something similar to what we did with the roe deer. If you crouch forward with basically any weapon, you get a little bit of a stability boost compared to just standing still. Why it works that way, I have no idea, but it's always been a thing. And that gives us just another 30 seconds or so for the brown bear to expire. Which, by the way, actually we hit him in the lungs, so he's not going far at all. That was not even necessary. But we'll grab our wood grouse. I don't think I mentioned the competition for them requires you to shoot 10 of them, so I didn't really think that would be something that would be worth our time. There's no way we're killing 10 if we're also hunting other species, but just an average size one, 5 kilo, and a 49.78 score. And let's go and see this brown bear. The last really good one we shot over on Himmeldal, I think doing the Lunar New Year missions, was the same weight estimate, same score estimate, and ended up being our biggest ever at 28.4, I believe. So hopefully this guy's in that kind of range. And I mean, he made it like 20 meters max from where we last saw him, almost went down in sight. But let's actually take a look at this. The way that any bear is scored is the length of the skull plus the width of the skull. Both of those measurements I think look kind of decent, and this guy might be cinnamon. Like, he's pretty red in color. He's a common 427 kilo, 26.3, right on 100 CSS. So that's not going to get us a competition trophy, unfortunately. He's decent, would put us in 9th, but not quite enough there. So we do have one more bear barrel still up north of here. And what's going to be interesting is we kind of start to leave red deer territory now. We just haven't seen any, even with an estimate up to 220 kilos. But as we do that, we kind of enter into better roe deer territory, and of course the chance to find more brown bears as well. So hopefully there's something up there for us, and worst case we can work our way back south if we need to. We're not doing half bad on the roe deer front though. Kind of a unique looking one too. The antlers kind of move towards each other at the back. Definitely under 30 meters now. I'll go with the cable back bow this time. Try to keep it a little quieter. And actually, kind of surprised that happened. Roe deer are weirdly tough. They're one of the few species that are not like above, say, 600 kilo like moose, where you can actually double lung them with a bow and they'll run a bit. This one we hard shot though, so no worries there. 151 score actually ends up being smaller than the last, but 3 now fairly decent roe deer. If we can manage that with the red deer, except on the weight side of things, we'd be looking okay there, but just gonna get north of this lodge, so I don't think we'll see any more red deer as we move north. Follow the river just to kind of keep ourselves in a position where we can see far, and we'll see what's going on at the other bear barrel. We definitely have some decent bears out here today, 24 to 28 at the northern barrel, but I don't see anything better than that. Got a female down here, and then just that guy as far as I can see. So we'll try to take him out either when he stops, or even at that, I think we can get him. Gotta keep that shot forward, and hopefully it'll be a single lung like the last time. Right, like across the shoulder, I think should be. If he doesn't start to go down though, might hit him again just to make sure. I will actually be curious to see where that hit, because we saw how fast a single lung brought down the first one. And it was too far back, stomach, as I said. I mean, we shot like right here, and quartering 2 if anything. And still, that's considered too far back. That guy's bigger than I thought too, 26.6. He's, I forget the weight of the other one, I think 420 or so? So like 40 kilos lower, and a higher score, but still not enough to get us into the top 3. In fact, I think 1 position lower than we were with a better score, but naturally there are others out hunting as well. So I guess what we'll do is maybe work our way back south. If we want to look for red deer, there's no point going this far, so we'll go from the lodge and just see what we run into. You know, slowly but surely, we might find ourselves starting to approach the 10 wood grouse number in this hunt, but this guy is a max weight estimate, which happens pretty often with them at a low spotting level, but even still, I figure we might as well at least try to get him. That actually worked out quite nicely, and surely he's spooked, but there was another one back there behind us. That was the one that I thought we were just looking at, so go figure, but I would imagine there wouldn't be two kind of max weight estimate ones, so this is probably the bigger of the two. And by the way, we still haven't shot any very big ones. We're probably over 50 total harvests for them, and I don't think we've eclipsed like 64, 6,500. Interesting kind of how they float, because it appears that maybe like its toes are in the water. That's about it, but anyway, looks kind of decent size. He is 6 kilo, better than the last one, 5,900 score, and just a nice little bonus kill as we work our way back into red deer territory. We have been all over Val-Des-Bois now for about 2.5 hours, and we're just not finding any even decent red deer, and I can't help but wonder if the addition of the wood grouse to this map maybe could have cut into the red deer population even just a little bit, because in the past, we really never struggled to get at least like a 240 per hunt, and lately I feel like we don't see as many of those. And as we just call in everything except for the red fox that we're trying to get to come here, at least we can attempt to rack up some cableback bow kills. Gotta kind of lead that guy, but that'll work. He's not all that special either. But there was a red fox that looked pretty decent at least, that kind of walked over this hill just as I got him in sight. So what I think happened is we spooked him and he's just kind of taking his time, but I'm pretty sure he should come in. And actually, it would appear that we've got two coming in. That guy in the back looks way bigger. He's up to 15 kilo and 31 score. That's fairly encouraging. I really don't want a fox under the stand for that long, so I'm gonna try to get this guy on the walk. Not that things often spook when standing under tree stands, but I've seen coyotes and red fox do it before. So maybe there's hope for that. The red fox comp was like the same as the red deer, top 3 heaviest, and then average it out. I knew we weren't gonna get 3 really big ones. That guy's not bad at 25. We're earning some pretty decent GM in this hunt, but the problem is, that is not going to get us any competition trophies, so I think from here, we'll go ahead and collect these 3 things, and then we'll probably try one last fast travel. Figures, by the way, we finally got our 3rd red deer, and we're in 12th, so that would be about fitting. Sadly, there's no trophy for that either. And then our 3rd wood grouse was a heart shot on the move there with the cableback and a 4,300 score, so where we're going to go to is this tent up here. It's actually good for basically the same 3 species we just saw, red fox, red deer, and wood grouse, and we'll see where that leads us as we have a red fox calling. I mean, if we're gonna get the opportunity, I guess we can try to take a hero rabbit as well. We've seen just about everything Val-Des-Bois has to offer here, but that is one species we had not yet run into, and it's not a big one, but I didn't even consider looking for competitions for them. The hope had been to never leave the river area and most likely never encounter them, but with the lack of any kind of decent red deer, we end up in a spot where we can run into them too. You know, it's hunts like this that I think gave rise to the theory that your spawns were nerfed when entered into a competition, which by the way, I don't believe. I think it was because all competitions used to be single player, and for the most part, other than when participating in comps, people would play multiplayer, and I am pretty well convinced at this stage, after having gotten our 200 whitetail multiplayer and all of our 190 plus whitetail multiplayer, that there's something to it. So I think it's kind of that. I don't even remember if it was the red deer comp. I think it was. That was a requirement to be in single player, which is why we're in it now. And it certainly doesn't seem to be rewarding us with anything big. I don't think we've topped 210 kilo for a red deer yet, and no heavy tracks, which typically, spend a little time on Val-Des-Bois, you can at least get one that goes up to 230 or so. Unfortunately though, I think this is probably going to end up being our last kill. We've shot a lot of stuff, we've covered a lot of ground kind of back and forth here, but what I have tried to do is, at least in areas, get away from the main part of the river and see if there were any red deer or red deer tracks up in those spots, because even a heavy track could potentially lead us to something that gets us into the top 3, but no such luck with that. You know, there's another big bear out there. This is the one that we saw earlier that was next to, I think, the 26, the first 26 we shot. That other one, I guess, has some hope, so I think we can get away with shooting the 22 pistol here. We'll still go ahead and get our wood grouse, and as long as that doesn't just send the bear running, which it did not, we'll go ahead and sneak to maybe 150 or so and try to get him. I would say that could work. He'll either stop broadside or stay kind of stuck there. Maybe we can just make that shot before he moves. Keep this way up close to the shoulder. And hopefully that's a lung shot. I'm honestly not sold that it's gonna be, but maybe we can get a follow-up, or maybe he's just gonna tip over right there, so that'll work. We'll grab our wood grouse as well, which was up to 7 kilo, like, could be decent as well. That's kind of like the, I guess, taxidermy number, if you can get one over 7 kilos, so this guy's our best. 6.7 and a 6700 score. Not necessarily one worth taxing, but probably we should take a trophy shot of him. And while it may not be our best trophy shot, I think we'll go with that. There's the one trophy shot pose that's kind of similar to the one with the turkeys that sort of has the fan unfolded. And they changed that a bit, I think, to make it better, but it still sort of doesn't fit perfectly, so I decided to just go with that. At this stage, I mean, what the heck, we can take that bear too. Absolute worst case, we're gaining some decent GM. We're not going to be hunting the barrel here in like another 30 minutes anyway, so not like it hurts to take the penalty for shooting something. And as long as that ends up being a vital hit, he shouldn't be too hard to recover. We may actually just hit him again in case, because the one earlier that was the stomach shot did kind of worry me that we could end up doing that and having a much lengthier track. So we'll mark that. And now we have two, I'd imagine, over 25, and this one here might top 27. He was up to 470 kilos, and weight isn't everything, but you'd imagine it would kind of help. 436 for him, and a 27.4. When we started this hunt, I think 27.7 was third place. That puts us in fifth, so not going to be a competition winner, but actually a pretty nice bear. And as per usual, kind of difficult to get a decent trophy shot. I like this pose. It's what I always used to do before trophy shot poses, or at least would try to do. But oftentimes you get the paws kind of hovering above the ground, and for one that's not over 28, I don't think we'll worry about that too much. So at least we got some decent kills here at the end. Nothing that's going to get us a competition trophy, and unfortunately, that's just kind of the way things go sometimes. If we got one every time, it probably wouldn't be all that interesting, but it was a fairly productive hunt, and again, the overall GM reward from this should be pretty decent. 3 good bears, a number of red deer. We had the red fox that was pretty solid, and a couple of wood grouse in there to help out as well. But then finally, 2 kills after what I said was going to be our last kill. Another brown bear over 400 kilo, and it was a long shot, and another 26 plus. No complaints there. That's not something we'll do all that often. I think we killed 4 good brown bear, actually. There were 3 here, and the one up north, so certainly not a bad deal, but unfortunately, none quite big enough to crack top 3. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.